Hello Wolfpack, back here on the Bitcoin chart. Quite a little bit to talk about today in regards to what the breakdown from support has given us here, and we can actually go ahead and flip this box to be red now. Although I'm not fully convinced we're done testing that region at this point, as I'm going to explain in this video. But before we get into any of that, I just want to say thank you for all the support with the recent Telegram channel launch. It went pretty well. We sold all the slots available within 3 hours, and so the next offering will be the 7th of April. But now let's get into the Bitcoin chart here and what we actually have seen, which is in contrast to the popular belief here. A lot of people would have called this, and I've spoken about this quite a bit. I'm just going to go into it briefly again for those of you who've heard me talk about it. A lot of people would have called this a double bottom formation, okay? I would actually call it a bearish bat formation, which I'm drawing out right now, okay? And that's a bit of a lesser known pattern, but seeing as I study the charts like 10 hours a day, I'm able to pick up on things like this when other people cannot. You know, a lot of people would call this a double bottom. They'd say we need to go to 57k from here, which would be the target for the double bottom, but it's definitely a bearish bat formation. It's played out perfectly. I called that at the top, and that would suggest a bearish bat formation suggests we return to the first connecting dots between A and C and the trend line that forms. And so basically, just to simplify that a little bit further for some of you who might not understand, that kind of suggests we return to around 35k. Okay, and that would make sense because 35k is the lowest daily candle close of this entire stretch downward since November. So 35k is the target according to the bearish bat formation. I have no doubt that we will get there sooner. Sooner, or, I guess you could say sooner rather than later. But as to whether we get there immediately before doing anything else is a different question. And I want to talk about, for this reason, the hourly chart on Bitcoin. And then I'm also going to bring up the total cryptocurrency market cap chart. And these are kind of two charts that kind of suggest that, hey, maybe we see a little bit of something first, a little bit of consolidation at the very least. And that's what we're kind of seeing right now on Bitcoin, okay? And this is not to say that we're swinging all the way back up to 43k or something. It's just to say that, hey, maybe we just have a little bit of a bounce around like we did in this previous region here between 25th of February and 1st of March before that happens. Now, you have to remember that the market is kind of in a little bit of a weird position right now because in just about a week, just over a week, there is a big decision coming with the Federal Reserve. There's also the interest rates CPI numbers coming out on the 10th of March. And so this is 4 days away, and then the interest rates is going to be about 8 days away, I think. So, in this period of time, in the next 8 days, we have two pretty major events that could very much drive the price action. So, from a logical perspective, lots of whales wouldn't be buying or selling right now. They're just waiting to see what happens, and they might, buy the rumor or, buy the news or sell the news, depending on what happens there. But in terms of what I'm kind of trying to explain here is that this week, until Friday, might be a little bit lackluster. Or, there might be an extreme sell-off as people get prepared, that kind of thing. But just, it's kind of hard to understand what to expect this week. But what I would say, because of those two events, but what I would say is that right now, Bitcoin, I don't have any reason to believe that Bitcoin isn't doing anything other than that, okay? And there's many reasons for that. Let me go into them briefly now. Notice how every time we come up to this pink line, this downtrending pink line here, I'll actually make it a bit bolder just so you guys can see it. Let me bump it up to 4. Okay, notice the selling contention in that region, right? We came up to the pink line here. We had a large period of rejections before a massive sell-off. Okay, we came up to the pink line here. We had a large period of rejections before a massive pump. We came up to the pink line here. Large period of rejections before a massive sell-off. Okay, and then testing it from a downside again. Came up to the pink line, large period of rejections before a massive pump. And right now, we're coming up to the pink line. Okay, we've just dropped below it. And this could be a downside retest before a massive rejection down to 35k. That is what I would favor. Okay, so that is my favorite scenario. I think that we will do, maybe 3 to 4 days at the most, probably less, probably, within 2 days of kind of testing this downtrending pink line. And I'll go back to the daily chart just so you guys can see where it actually comes from, where it stems from. But this downtrending pink line is essentially stemming all the way from the April top, goes through to the September top, and then also coming down through these December lows. Okay, so it's a very prominent pink line. Let's make it back to just so you can see a little bit more intensely there. But, basically, it's a very, very major line. And so long as we are below that line, so basically, so long as we are below, say, 39.8k on the daily candle, it is going to act as a strong resistance. And there's going to be no reason for us to believe while we're below that pink line that we'll be seeing a pump. There is reason to believe that we'll be seeing an imminent crash within the next few days from that pink line. And so I suppose what I said at the start of the video might have been slightly misleading. I said that I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here. That's true to a certain extent. That's based off the macro. That's not based off charts. Based off the charts, we're extremely bearish. Okay, there's no doubt about that. We've just recently lost the 50-day. We've recently lost this line. We've recently turned this previously green support block right here into red. Okay, we've recently lost the 21-week EMA. We're below basically everything that matters. We had bearish divergence on the RSI. The MACD is about to cross bearish. Okay, there's many things right now for Bitcoin that would say this is bearish on the TA chart. But the reason why we can't be certain is because we have, as I said, in the next 8 days, 2 major events of which we don't really know what the results are going to be and how they're going to affect the market. That's what I'm saying. So the technicals are bearish, the macro is very uncertain, and it kind of makes the whole picture a bit uncertain. But in terms of TA, if you're going to go off TA, which is a bit, hard to kind of rely on in periods of time like this, is this why I recommend for the next week or so, no one should be trading anything. We need to be taking it a bit cautious because we're not 100% sure. The TA is all well and good, but if major macro events happen, that TA is going to be neglected very quickly. But on the total cryptocurrency market cap chart, what we can see is that this massive uptrending pink line that has been going on since basically January 2021, you could even bring it all the way back here to the start of 2021. Is finally being tested again for support, and what we're actually testing it in kind of like a triangular formation. And the reason why I would say that, hey, maybe Bitcoin finds some support in this region here at like 39 or 38k, maybe it finds some support before it does drop, is because, well, this is at support right now, and if Bitcoin dropped below 38k or something like that, this would drop as well. That's pretty major, okay? But I am expecting this to drop eventually. I'm just not sure as to whether we see one more upswing before it drops, okay? That's why Bitcoin could potentially come up and retest, say, 42k or something like that. It could happen, according to the macro and according to this chart here. But Bitcoin's TA is nothing to get out of bed for in the words of Benjamin Cohen. It's really nothing to be getting out of bed for at all. It looks terrible. But I'm still, while I'm saying it's bearish from a TA, I'm still understanding that there's a lot of uncertainties in the macro right now, and also some of the more indexy charts like the total cryptocurrency market cap are showing some support in this region. So it's a little bit hard to be precise, and I suppose that's the purpose of this video. But just because it's hard to be precise, it doesn't mean we can't make predictions, okay? And my prediction would be for Bitcoin, as long as we are below this dotted pink line here on the daily candle, the next move is 35k for sure, okay? Because that bearish bat formation is still valid as long as we are below this pink line. And so for this reason, I'm still going to be sticking by my 35k prediction in the short term. And for this reason as well, and for many other reasons, I'm going to be sticking by my 200-week SMA prediction for Bitcoin in the longer term. I think Bitcoin's going to go down to this green line here. By the time we get there, it will be anywhere between, say, 22k and 24k. But that's what I wanted to say in this video. And actually, one more thing before we end off there. Let's look at the hourly chart again. And what we can see from the hourly as well is that, well, we're currently testing this dotted pink line literally right now as we speak. Okay, so, Bitcoin's hitting its head on the ceiling here. If we get up, say for example, if we break above 40k and we close a daily candle above that, we might be in for a little bit of a rational price action until that interest rate decision comes out. So long as we're below this dotted pink line, the TA is playing out as expected from an objective standpoint. That's not my opinion, right? That's literally what's happening. It's a bearish bat formation. The TA is playing out as expected until we get to 35k, and then we can reevaluate the situation. But it is pretty important to keep an eye on this pink line here, dotted pink line for Bitcoin. If we break above it, that's probably even more of a reason to stay away from the market, because it means the market is acting irrationally and acting against the TA that we're seeing on that daily chart. That is very, very clear at this point. So long as we're below this pink line, so long as we're heading towards 35k, the TA is still rational and trading is still valid. So thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry if it was a little bit of a vague video. It's because the market's in a vague place right now. As you guys would know, as I explained before, we're getting very close to very, massive decisions that could have a massive effect on the market. And so there is going to be high volatility. There is going to be uncertainty. Anyone who claims to be able to clear that uncertainty for you and say that this is going to happen for sure is purely lying right now. There's only so much technical analysts can do when macro events like this are pending or about to happen. The TA goes out the window a little bit. We can still look at it. We can still look at the levels, and the levels do still matter. But just understand that, if you see a, descending triangle formation, and you've got a macro event coming up in one day, there's no guarantee that descending triangle formation is going to break to the downside. It's a little bit out of the control of the descending triangle formation when you've got a global event happening. For example, war, right? If we had the most bearish charting pattern in the world, but then World War III occurred, that charting pattern is not going to matter anymore. So that's just an example of how macro events can kind of determine price action a little bit. So be cautious. The trend is still downwards. The target is still 35k in the short term. But understand that there is a little bit of risk with the macro right now. Some stuff that maybe shouldn't be happening according to the charts might happen. Let's see what happens here on Bitcoin. As of this point, still no invalidations from the macro. The TA is still holding true. Let's see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry for the bit of a rambly video here today, but is what it is. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.